Hello, thanks for checking out Mr. Ware's videos. And today we're looking at functions. What I want to do is talk about how to evaluate a function and go over some of the function notations and what to do when you see a specific function notation. So here we have a function right here, and on the right it shows a function that's already evaluated. Okay, and on the left it shows how the function kind of what the way you want to look at a function. It shows how you plug in a number and you get out a different number. And on the right here it shows what happens when you plug that number in. Now, this is a linear function, and we've talked about linear functions before, and usually they look like this. Y equals mx plus b. This is the same thing, but instead of y, you have f of x. And everything else is the same. So what we mean by function is we're plugging in a number for x, and we see what we get for y. But instead of saying y, we'll say f of whatever number we're plugging in. So the function of -1 gets us 4. And that's how you read it. Instead of saying y is equal to 4, we're saying the function of -1 gives us 4. That way you can have different functions, and you can give them different names. You can say g of x or h of x, and we'll see a couple of those examples in a minute. And that way, if you have different type of functions, you know what we're talking about. Okay? Now, so over here, I've got a little t-table. And this is just a couple of vocabulary words here. X and on the left here, and y or f of x on the right. So when you see these words like input, independent, and domain, think x. And when you see these words output, dependent, and range, think y. Okay? Something else I would like to show you is here's two different functions here. One where we have the x and we plug in 5, and the other one where we have the y and we plug that in to find x. So one where you plug in the x to find y or f of x, and one where you have y and you plug in y to find x. Sounds confusing. So you could pause the video and take a look at these worked out, but the main thing you need to understand is when you have f, and let's say 5, when you have f of 5, 5 is x. But if you have f of x is equal to 5, then 5 is y. F of 5, 5 is x. F of x equal 5, 5 is y. Okay, keep that in mind. Alright, so in today's lesson, we're just going to deal with f of 5, where 5 is x. So we're going to work it from there. So let's look at a couple examples. And this is going to be for evaluating functions level 1. Evaluating functions level 1. Alright, so here's our first example. Alright, so it says given g of x is equal to -2x minus 1, find g of -4. So you see how you have g of -4? We're going to take the -4 and plug it in for x. So I'm going to write that out here. G of x, but I'm going to plug in -4. And everywhere where there's an x, I'm going to put -4. So I'm putting a -4 for the x's. So now we just evaluate it from there. So you got negative times a negative, which is a positive. Oh, I left something off. Let me fix that. This is -2. There we go. Alright, so now we got a -2 times -4. So now on the left side here, we're just going to keep writing that like it was y. -4. So negative times a negative is positive, and 2 times 4 is 8. Bring down my minus 1. And then do 8 minus 1 is 7. So g of negative 4 is 7. Alright, so I'm going to show you this problem, and you can pause the video here and see if you can find h of x when x is 6. Alright, so you should get h of 6 is equal to 7. You plug in 6 for x here, right? And then just solve. 2 times 6 is 12, and 12 minus 5 is 7. And that's it. That's evaluating functions level 1. In my next video, we're going to work out some problems where you're giving the function or the y part and solve it from there. But for now, thank you for checking out Mr. Ware's videos. Have a nice day.